What the fuck do we do when we're older? With Lachy Macdonald-Camden, and he's going to be talking to me about getting into renting properties. How you going, Lachy?
Good. How you going?
I'm pretty good. So, what exactly do you do in property and real estate?
So I've been managing apartment buildings all through inner city Brisbane, all the way up from Toowong, all the way down up to Windsor. And I've been doing that for about 5 years. I've had about 12 different buildings over that span. And figured to pass it on.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, I mean, all me and my friends, we want to move out of home as quick as possible, really, and, save up. But I guess what we really need to know is, like, what are some of your stories and horror stories and stuff, just so we know what we're getting ourselves into,
The biggest tip, especially when share housing, I would say, is you either move in with people you consider great friends, or people that are complete strangers. Anything in between, you just end up hating each other. You gotta move in with someone that you can just yell at dinner and chill with for breakfast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with that. That sounds very correct. Yeah. And what are some personal things that you've seen in the places that you've worked at?
That I've seen, horror stories wise, mainly when it comes to share houses, is with the bond. So you know, obviously, say for example, let's say you're moving into somewhere that's $500 a week, and there's three of you, and let's say, for simplicity, you pay $1,000 of the bond, and the other two guys pay $500 each. By default, the agent will put on the bond form that you each put in $666, or one person $667, to make it up to the $2,000. Because bond is 4 weeks rent.
Yep.
But then if you end up deciding you hate each other, because that happens a lot, they've got half your money. So what you want to do is just tell the agent from the start that I'm paying this much bond, they're paying this much bond, and I'll allocate it that way so that you have nothing crazy at the end. You don't lose out on money if you have any asshole friends. Yeah,
no, that's very true. And how would you divvy up rent? Because I know that some people will just split it three ways. What would you say would be the best way to do it to, like, avoid jealousy or anything like that?
It's 100% between you guys, but I've seen a lot of people split it so that, say, one person has the room with the ensuite, they pay a bit extra, or one person has a car park and the other person doesn't, they pay a bit extra. But just as long as you guys are cool with it from day one, and there's no awkward tension between it, as soon as it starts getting passive aggressive, you get to break the lease pretty soon after that.
Okay, and if a group of people do end up hating each other, how hard is it for them to, exit out of their rent, like, halfway through? Or one of them leaves or anything like that?
If one person leaves and the other people stay on, that's easy peasy. Another huge tip is to just talk to the property manager, really. You know what I mean? Like, they're all normal people.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows this stuff except for us. So you just got to talk to them. If one person's ever leaving, the lease will still stay. And as long as the other people are cool to keep the lease going, there's no issues at all. You just tell the property manager, and then you pay them out their share of the bond, and then it's your share of the bond, and then you just sign a new lease with two people instead of three. Or you swap someone out.
Yeah.
But that's not an issue at all. If you were to ever break your lease, so be careful about break leases as well.
Yeah.
It's not a mark on your name or anything, so it's completely fine to break your lease, but there's often break lease fees which would normally be a week's rent plus GST. So if it's $500, be $550.
Yep.
And then you normally have to pay for the advertising fee as well. Pretty much when you break the lease, you pay the costs that the owner would pay.
Okay.
But because you're in a contract with the owner, then you cover it instead.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So be careful. If it's a change of shared tenancy, like you take one person off or swap them around, easy peas. If you break your lease, there's a little more to it, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, no, true. Because it is something that I've always wondered. And like, I'm trying to think. Sorry, I'll go on to the next question anyway. What are some of your tips for young people when they are moving out and, you know, to just get in there without being ripped off or, you know, being perfect?
Just take a look around, really, is the biggest thing. A huge tip for young people it's hard to just get approved in the first place.
Yeah.
Often, say if it's 3 guys and you go into uni, no offense, but sometimes for a real estate agent, in comparison to say like an older couple, obviously the odds are a bit outweighed.
Yeah,
what I had a guy do recently, which is pretty funny because I did pick him because of it. Not because of it, but it looked good. This guy moved with his mate, and he had on all the way through the application, it was de facto.
Oh wow! Okay.
So he had it. He kind of made it look like they were a gay couple. Because gay couples stereotypically look after the place a bit better than 2 guys that are just 2 trades. Yeah. So I took one, and then one day I called him, and he said, instead of calling his partner Jonathan, he said young Jono, and that kind of clued on their mates and not actually boyfriends.
Okay.
But so that's the trick. Another thing is if you can, or if you don't, if one of you guys don't need to go to the inspection, don't go together. Man, just go 2 of you at a time or something, or even book in separately and act like you're not together, so it doesn't look like you're gonna pack the place out with the uni students.
Okay, so
often you'll be fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so you don't need to all go at once, because that was something I was wondering. Like, when do they need to know how many people are moving in? I guess.
Just in the application process.
Okay.
So even if when you look, sometimes you don't even need to look at it. I would suggest looking at it just to make sure. But even if, say, you can't get down to Brisbane and your mate lives here, he can just go have a look and film it for you, and then send it through to you if you like. You know what I mean? And then just on the application, you can all fill one out. All
right. Cool.
Another huge tip.
Yeah.
This is kind of just me going on a tangent, but there's a website called OneForm. Have you heard of OneForm before?
No, I haven't.
It's every real estate has their own application form.
Yeah.
But if you go out on a Saturday and you look at 10 different apartments, you'll end up with 10 different application forms. But a good thing to do, especially to be proactive, there's an application called OneForm on the internet, or probably an app even, that you can fill that out, and it's all the information that an application would have. And then most agents use it these days, so you can apply for it while you're at the inspection if you want to. You literally just type the address in there, the agent's email address, and just send it off, and there you go.
Cool.
You're well ahead of the game.
Fantastic. And what would you recommend for money-wise? Should you be getting a job before you move in, or try to show that you have enough money to pay until you get a job?
Oh, yeah, well, both, really. You need to prove that you've got the ability to pay the rent. So most agents will ask for proof of income to show that you earn 3 times the rental income.
Okay.
Combined. So say there's 3 of you guys and the rent's $500 a week. You need to make at least $500 each to make $1,500 a week in total.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you don't, you can do guarantor forms where your parents can sign off, but that means that if ever you go in arrears, like go behind in your rent, your parents will get all they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Which is not always good, but you might do it. Or else, I don't know, your parents could have, I suppose.
Okay.
Real estate agents aren't.
Yeah. And how hard would you say it is? So for me, it would be me, my partner, and then 2 other friends. How hard would it be for us to get into, say, like a tower like Sky Tower or any of those places? Because I'd presume it'd be really hard to during like inspections.
Depending on who the manager is, yeah. And just depending on how you guys act during the inspection, you know what I mean? If you come across like you're gonna have parties and stuff all the time,
Yeah.
I think chances are, I know when I'm leasing my buildings, it's a huge selling point to other people knowing that there's not people in the building that are gonna have parties all the time.
Yeah.
Most people are cool. Most people understand, you know, it's the weekend, you're gonna listen to some music and whatnot, but
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of, you know, come at it, look professional, and but if the apartment's big enough, you
Yeah.
should be fine.
Okay.
If you go for a 3-bedroom and there's, you know, a couple and 2 guys, or a couple and a guy and a girl or whatever, you should be easy peasy.
Okay, awesome. Fantastic. Well, that's basically all I wanted to really know. And then if there's any questions for you guys at home, if you want to write in, we can type in the comments for a little bit and then, yeah, get your questions answered if you haven't seen that in today's episode. All right, well,
Another,
yeah,
when you look, 2 things that I find. Don't pick west, because you're going for an apartment building, right?
yeah,
It's the western side of the building gets very hot.
yeah,
It
true.
gets like you guys will be out at uni and whatnot during the day. You come home, and normally in apartment buildings you got this huge windows to see the view and whatnot. But if you've got the sun just absolutely smashing you all after, yeah, that's gonna kill you.
Yeah, no,
So go and the other direction: north, east, south,
never west.
you name it. More. Yeah. Just not west, because that'll kill you.
All right, no, fair enough. That sounds very insightful. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us, Lachy. It's been very good to have you on and your first guest, and hopefully we can improve and maybe have you on again later on in the show.
Yeah, no stress. I'll be watching the rest of them. Make sure you get some good guests,
Cool.
because I want to learn just zero.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much for watching this episode. I know it was a little bit choppy. We're getting new to this, but it will go on for the next 10 weeks. We're going to do 10 episodes. This is episode number 1, and we'll see you in the next episode. I've got no idea what we're going to be talking about, but, you know, it's all going to be informative. See ya.